Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful long skirt that you can see right here. It is fully lined and this is the easiest method to making a skirt. And I'm sure this is something you'd be interested in, so you definitely want to stick around. To my returning subscribers, thank you guys for sticking by me. You are the real OGs. And if you're new here, you're more than welcome. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos like this. Alright, let's get started. Here is the fabric I'll be using alongside other materials for this tutorial. Now I'm going to go ahead to fold my fabric into two using the biggest part of my body measurement, which is the hip divided by 4, and I'll be adding allowance. Next, I'm going to be drawing a starting line from which all my measurements will be taken from, and it's also going to serve as the waistline. Now on the waistline, I'm going to place my measuring tape there, leaving out 1.5 inch. Which is going to be for the waistband, and then proceed to mark my hip length, which is 10 inches, my knee length, which is 22 inches, and also the full length of the skirts. Now the full length of this skirt is going to be 40 inches, but I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch allowance to the hem. Afterwards, I'm going to go ahead to roll a line across the marked points. Next, I'm going to be marking my round waist measurement divided by 4. This skirt is going to have a dart, which means I'll be adding 1 inch for my dart allowance. Usually, if you've seen previous videos of mine, I don't like my skirts having darts, but I'll be doing that today just for the purpose of the explanation. After adding 1 inch, I'm going to add 1.5 inch for my sewing allowance. Next, on the hip line, I'm going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll be adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Now on the knee line, I'm going to subtract 1.5 inch from my hip measurement, and I'm going to proceed to mark that out. You could also use 2 inches depending on how fitted you want the skirts to be, okay? And afterwards, remember to add the 1.5 inch sewing allowance, and I'm just going to take that measurement all the way to the hem of the skirt. And then connect all the marked points with my ruler. The next thing to do is mark 1 inch below the waistline and draw a slant line connecting it to the side front. This is to avoid any excessive bulging that we would be having in the front part of the skirt, just so it has a perfect fit. This is all for the front part. Now I'm going to proceed to cut out. For the back, I have my fabric on fold, and I've gone ahead to draw out the various lines needed, which is the waist, hip, knee, and the full length. Now the next thing I'm going to do is mark 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance from the center back where you see the fabric unfold without any cutout. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inch all the way to the hem. Now that is done, if you want to remeasure, all your measurements will be taken from the zipper allowance line just as I've pointed, but I'm going to go ahead to just place the front pattern on this, placing it starting from the zipper allowance line just as you can see, and I would trace out. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Do not forget to slash open the center back if you have yours on fold, but if it's a cutout part, there's no point. I'm going to cut lining pieces for this, and then we can begin the sewing process. The lining pieces for the skirts, and while I was cutting, I made sure that the lining pieces were ½ inch shorter than the main fabric. Okay, so by the time we're done sewing, it is able to drag up and you don't get to see the lining at the hem of the skirt. Now I'm going to place the lining and the main fabric right sides facing each other, and then we're going to head over to the machine and stitch the hem with ½ inch alongside the sides. We're not going to stitch the waistline, we're going to leave that open. We're just going to stitch the hem of the skirt and the sides with ½ inch. Now for the back piece, we're going to stitch the hem, the zipper allowance area, and the sides with ½ inch. We're not touching the waistline as well. I'm going to go ahead to do all of this now and then come back to show you the next step. As you can see, I've gone ahead to stitch the main fabric and the lining piece together. You can also see the effect of making the lining piece ½ inch shorter than the main fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead to fold the front piece into two, and then from the center front, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the waistline. This is to get our dart measurement. Mine is 3.5, and on both sides we're going to have ½ inch, because our dart allowance is 1 inch, so by the time you share that, that is 0.5 inch. And then for the length of the dart, it is 4 inches. So whatever it is I have here, I'm going to also make sure I have the same thing on the other side, which means that we're going to be having 2 dart legs on this front piece, just as I've pointed. Now for the back, I've placed the 2 pieces on each of the right sides, and now I'm going to go ahead to mark the zipper allowance. It's no longer going to be 1.5 inch because we've used ½ inch to turn the lining and the main fabric, so I'm going to mark 1 inch as the zipper allowance right now. Afterwards, I'm going to mark where my zip is going to stop, and I want that to come down a little bit below my hip line. So leaving the 1.5 inch away from the waistline for the waistband, I'm going to go ahead to mark 12 inches. So that is where my zipper is going to stop. Now for the slit as well, from the hem, I'm going to mark about 17 inches. So that is going to be the length of my slit opening. You can decide to make yours higher than that. 20 inches is fine as well, but I decided to use 17 inches. I didn't really want it to open, and it was going to be comfortable for me. From that point, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2, and then proceed to mark out the darts just as I did for the front piece. The only difference now is that the length for the darts is going to be 1 inch longer, which means it's going to be 5 inches, while for the front it is 4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and sew the darts on the other side of this back piece as well. I'm also going to stitch down the zipper line and make a top stitch right where my zip is going to end and where the slit is going to end as well. So this is what we have here. I've gone ahead to iron, open the zipper allowance. I also pinned my front and back piece together, just as you can see. Right now, I'm going to shape this using my body measurement. So from the zipper allowance line that you see me place my tape, I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 7.5. And then if you measure the allowance that is left towards the side, you would notice that we still have 1 inch, which is what we're supposed to use to hold it down. So I'm going to go ahead now to shape this. You're going to use your waist and your hip measurements and just take that all the way down. I'm going to head over to my machine now and stitch the sides down. Afterwards, I'm going to measure what I have around the waistline just as I have pointed, and use that to cut out the waistband. Done sewing, and this is what we have here. I also went ahead to press that down with my iron, opened up the zipper and the slit area. For the slit, I'm going to use my hemming gum to hold it in place so it doesn't pull out while I'm walking. Now for the band, on fold I have 2 inches width, so that means when you open that up we have about 4 inches. I also went ahead to iron my SD on it for the fabric to be more rigid and firm. To attach the band, you can just go ahead and pin it around the waistline and then head over to your machine to stitch down with 1/2 inch. Afterwards, you overlock the edges. That's the easiest method. Or you could open up the band, stitch around with 1/2 inch just as you see me do. You can hold it down with your pin. After stitching down, go ahead to iron and then make sure to fold in enough to cover the sewing allowance just as you see me do. I don't know if you get what I mean. After you sew, make sure to cover in the sewing allowance just as you see me do, and then you stitch very close to the edge, almost invisible, and there you have it. So I'm going to head over to my machine now and stitch down my band using the second method. So here you can see that I've gone ahead to attach the waistband to the skirt and it's looking all neat and nice. Now the next thing and the last thing to do is to attach our zipper. I have a video on the channel already showing how to do that. In case you do not know how to, I'll leave the link in the description box so you can check it out and follow the process. So I'm going to go ahead to do that now, and that brings us to the end of our skirt making. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to attach the zipper and this is what it looks like, neat and nice as usual. Anyways, this is the end of our skirt making. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to give answers to your questions. Anywhere at all that you feel confused, please do let me know and I'll respond. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. This is goodbye from me. See you in my next video.